Got a little bit of extra time here. I just blasted through yesterday's calls. They're not on the blog. You'll have to go to the Twitter. I posted them from my iPad, which means I'm not in the position to put them on the blog, and I'm not going to go back and do it. So if you care about that, you can go on the Twitter right here. See, Twitter. Al your pal, sir. It's all right on here. You just have to scroll through. I got, a million. I do a lot of tweeting. It's quite entertaining for me. But we have an extra time. We're going to do the general manager report, which is pretty much nothing. He doesn't give you anything. But before we do that, the fact that the torture that was meted out on the public and on the drivers in this last event has been completely and totally uncovered by any media and even social media. I'm the only one covering it, along with the two other people that do it. We have no following. Nobody knows the kind of suffering that people were subjected to by that giant failure of TriMet. And I just read one of Sammy's, Sammy's at the wheel. It's just pathetic. It's just pathetic how he reminds me of all the other politicians. They just sit there and lie to your face, and everybody takes it. We all believe this nonsense. And meanwhile, I forgot about this. Meanwhile, TriMet is not allowing any cash payments for all of its Orange Line stations. Where did I put that? Let me look at that. I can't even keep up with all the stuff going on. Oh, yeah, here it is. There it is right here. Okay. Card only ticket machines at the following Max Green Line stations will soon accept credit cards only. Can you see that? Look at them. Maine, Division, Powell, Holgate, Lentz, Flavel, and Fuller. No cash. That's New World Order stuff. And Portland and TriMet have been the testing ground for a lot of these New World Order ideas. And they were the ones that started the so-called transit-oriented development, which was referred to in Agenda 21 as pack and stack. You pack the serfs into a train and you stack them into apartment buildings along the train lines. That's the idea. You have everybody reliant on government service. And they also started the first tracking app, which was HOP. They were the first ones to do it. And it's a tracking app. It's New World Order stuff. They know where you're going, they know where you get on, know where you get off. And now they're going, and they've said this publicly, they're going to go cashless at some point, and they're going full speed ahead. Now let me show you something about this here. Okay, here's where you can get cash loaded on. You got to go 19-minute walk and an 8-minute walk to 7-Eleven or Henry's Market. At Division, you have to go 15-minute walk or 6-minute walk. At Powell, you have to go 16-minute walk or 10-minute walk. Holgate, you got to go 27-minute walk or 7-Eleven 5-minute walk. It's highly inconvenient what they've done here. Look at this one. 24 minutes, 13 minutes, 11 minutes, 16 minutes. It's highly inconvenient. And it's really, there's a law against this too. Let me show you that one. Hey, there he is. Let me cut this off for a minute here. I'll cut it off. I can put it together. Okay, sorry about that interruption, but here it is. Senate Bill 1565 makes unlawful practice for a place of public accommodation to refuse to accept United States currency United States coins or currency as payment for good. And it passed. So I don't know how TriMet's getting around it, but you know how they are over there. They do whatever they want to do. Nobody, and they didn't answer I tweeted at them about that. They did not answer me. Of course not. Why would they, right? All right. Yes. My heart goes out to all you riders and drivers who were tortured, got no extra compensation for it. You suffered greatly. I want you to know that some of us know that you did. It's not that nobody knows. Some of us know. Some of us know what you suffered here. And the fact that the union allows you to be stranded for 12 hours is just absurd. You know, when you listen to the calls, they always say, this has always been the way it is. It's always been like this. This is how we do things. That's the problem, folks. As long as you have this attitude, nothing's going to ever change, man. And then you have people like Dan and the rest of them cheering on this bullshit nonsense. And it's a shame because it's never going to get better. You know, these people here have no interest in fighting this guy. They are selected specifically so that the Sioux can implement the New World Order agenda. And he's getting, I saw they have budgeted $450,000 a year for him. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. His salary, Fred Hansen was like, you know, if you go back 20 years, his salary was like $250,000. So his salary has doubled in 15 years. Has your salary doubled? No.
Any other participants online? No. All right. I will now close the public forum and we will open the business meeting. And our first order of business is board reports. And I will
through May
$1 million of the item.
For our weekday on our January.
We're happy to have members of the public provide further written testimony or questions at the following email address.
All right. Send them an email. Oh, by the way, one more thing. I sent every board member our copy of this video. Where is it?
The SAC professional here. You focus on this guy, all right? You guys say you're gonna arrest me?
Okay, this is
SAC professional.
Lackluster, one of the bigger cop watcher channels, actually covered the Eli story.
Here, you focus on this guy, all right? You guys say you're gonna arrest me?
Right. Come with us. Go ahead and walk across the street.
Why are you guys going hands-on with me, guys?
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. In early 2023, Sohai from the channel Tactical Ticket Checkers was traveling home on the TRIMET light rail system. After dismounting the train, Sohai noticed an unusually large police presence and began filming. Many of the officers took notice but paid no mind to his actions. TRIMET has specific film and photo guidelines, including a protocol respecting the First Amendment by allowing the general public to film without a permit or permission. Sohai continued to film and take pictures for nearly 10 minutes as the officers waited for the next train to arrive. And once it stopped, they boarded the car and removed one of the passengers. Sohai followed the drove as they brought the man to their cruiser.
Anyway, we've seen the video. If you go to the Lackluster channel on YouTube, he probably has 100 million views on all of his material. And that video there, that video right now has
Hey, dude, you need to go over there.
I'm just filming, boss. It's fine.
150,000 views and 1,000 comments. This was direct First Amendment retaliation. This is not policing. It's harassment and intimidation. The fact that the AL department admitted out loud they were violating citizens' rights does not warrant them to initiate an investigation is a lawsuit themselves. They cover the fact that the sheriff wouldn't investigate this. Cops investigating themselves would be like a student grading her own test. The guy needs to sue both the police and the transport company. There's a reason they don't like being recorded. They're corrupt. This whole department needs to be looked at. It just goes on and on. everybody on the channel saw it for what it is, a complete, unaccountable abuse of authority on the part of the TriMet pigs.
It's board testimony at trimet.org. We'd be delighted to hear
Yeah,
your
you'd be
comments. So please feel free to use that address. All right, we'll now turn to General Manager Dessou for his monthly report.
Okay.
Good.
Now, his reports are usually nothing. He talks about the ridership, how many riders, how many trips. He doesn't talk about how many people. He talks about how many trips. Let's see what he says.
Good morning, Vice President Baumann, members of the board, staff, the public. Thank you all for being here today. And we'll follow up with you, sir. We'll get someone over to get some information to you so that you can respond to the board. This morning, I'll be sharing timely information with you on our January ridership numbers, provide some reminders around the timeline for the fare increase proposal and outreach. I will update on our security staffing. We'll highlight our federal funding recently secured by TriMet, and I'll get everyone thinking about our Transit Driver Appreciation Day, which is not too far away. So let me start with our ridership. For January, TriMet provided 4.58 million trips in January, and that increased more than 20% over last year, January. However, January was still more than 41% below where it was in January of 2020. The year-to-date increases in our weekly ridership appears to have driven largely by ridership on weekdays. It increased more than 8% faster than weekend ridership over the same period last year. So our peak ridership has increased also about a third over last year. However, our weekday peaks are still about half of what they were before the pandemic. Now I'd like to give you some updates and reminders around the fare increase proposal. After the board directed TriMet staff to draft a fare increase proposal.
Did you hear what he just said? After the board directed the TriMet staff to do a fare increase proposal. The fact that he just lies like that. Let me find the clip for you so you can see it. I need to put this on YouTube.
Riders and transit dependent riders. So I'm in favor of anything that we can do to just push out this conversation further and not have an immediate fare increase.
Director Edwards.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention earlier that, and I'd raised this issue prior, about is there an opportunity to phase it in somehow? Can we do 10 cents now, 20 cents later, 30 cents later?
That's not the proposal.
Oh, I understand that,
That's
but
not-
I'm saying that can that be under consideration going forward?
That's not the proposal.
No,
All right.
no. This is, the staff has developed this on the basis of their understanding of where the agency is. And it's not the board to come up with a different proposal.
All right, there she just said it. She does, the board does not mess with the staff. So let's listen to them again.
Of 2020. The year-to-date increases in our weekly ridership appears to have driven largely by ridership on weekdays. It increased more than 8% faster than weekend ridership over the same period last year. So our peak ridership has increased also about a third over last year. However, our weekday peaks are still about half
I'm sorry,
of what
I can't rewind. These films are too important. These videos are too hard to go backwards. So you're going to have to rehear some of it.
they were before the
Now,
pandemic.
Listen.
Now I'd like to give you some updates and
Here he's going to bull-faced lie to all of us. Here it comes.
reminders around the fare increase proposal. After the board directed TriMet staff to draft a fare increase proposal,
He just bull-faced lied. After the board directed you just heard Simmons say the staff drafted the proposal and it's not for the board to change it. So He just lied for the record to your face. I just want you to know that. Oh, look, he's got a little name tag. Did you see this? It's a name tag. It says Sam DeSue Jr. General. Anyway, he just lied to you. And I like to point these things out for the few people that watch this.
We began a robust outreach and engagement period starting in December. Among our efforts, an online survey to gather feedback on the proposal. That survey, as you heard Director Wade
Poor guy has to read everything off that computer screen.
stated, it closes this Saturday, February 25th. In addition to the survey, staff has gathered feedback about the proposal during open houses that we held in January and the first part of this month, both virtually and at locations across the service district. Interested individuals and groups also have been invited to share comments through our public testimony at board meetings, as well as through our customer service channels.
And we know it's going to be the overwhelming majority are against this, but it's not going to change because they don't care what you think. Our government doesn't care what we think. They play these little shows like we care, but it's a con job. All of this is a con job. The purpose of government is crime.
TRIMET staff will come to the March board meeting with a report on our outreach, as well as provide you with the comments and sentiments we've received from our riders and members of the public. TRIMET is also performing a Title VI analysis on the proposal.
The baloney, the baloney called Title VI, you know, this little con thing they have that pretend they're equity. We have equity, folks. We just did a Title VI. A whole level of bureaucracy created for nothing.
Proposal and its potential impacts on equitable access to our transit services.
Joke.
The Title VI analysis will be incorporated into the ordinance on the fare increase proposal that we will have our first reading at our April 26 board meeting. At that meeting, there will be a separate public hearing to give members of the public a last chance to share their feedback with us. The second reading, your vote on the ordinance, will occur at our May 24th board meeting. If approved, the fare increase would take effect January 1st, 2024. This information, as well as a link to our survey, are posted.
It's the most horrendous thing they've done is they're going to gouge the poor people for more money in the middle of a collapsing society. And they're doing this at the direction of the banks. Do I need to play that clip again? Maybe I better. Let me find the clip for you. I don't know where I put this shit, man. I can't find anything. I wish I was more organized. I'm just not organized. Okay, we got that. We already listened to that, so. Where the hell is it? Here. Okay.
Impacts of TRIMET's revenue sources is in our ability to issue bonds. And as you know, TRIMET currently maintains a AAA bond rating. Those bond rating agencies...
Let me remind you that when these unelected elites issue bonds, they are encumbering the taxpayers without a vote of the taxpayers. These are all taxation without representation. The fare increase is taxation without representation. Issuing bonds without voter approval is taxation without representation. This is a very parasitic agency we're dealing with here.
Agencies look very closely at our fare box revenue. I have had 2 meetings in the last month with our rating agencies, and one of the elements that they are looking at very closely now, so you can say that we're on watch for this one element.
We're on watch, which means you better do what we tell you, or we're going to lower your bond rating, and then you won't be able to get money from the banks at interest, which I think they shouldn't be able to do anyway. but it doesn't matter what I think.
is the level of our fare box recovery, because it hasn't been increasing, but it's been decreasing. So now they're looking at how stable is this particular revenue source, which is one of our key revenue sources. It's one of our top 3 revenue sources for maintaining our system. So we are on watch for our,
And let me point out to you that the TRIMET budget is 1.9 billion, and the fare revenue, when it was going well, was 200 million. So that's what is that? 10%, around 10% of the budget, which is nothing. I know the fares account for like 14% of the operations. It's like, oh yeah, they published a figure. It was 7% of their total budget.
passenger revenues. Our ability to impacts of TriMet's revenue sources is in our ability to issue bonds. And as you know, TriMet currently maintains a AAA bond.
All right, that's playing over.
Posted at trimet.org/fare proposals. Now I want to update you on our efforts to expand our security staffing as we work to provide transit services for our community that is reliable and safe.
It's not reliable, it's not safe. As we've been seeing, because Eli has been documenting the technical ticket checkers, as he calls them. They travel in gangs of 8, 10, 12. They're not spread out in the system. They're not spread out. They're all traveling in packs. It's not providing any actual safety, except where that pack happens to be at that moment.
As Executive Director of Safety and Security, Andrew Wilson, spoke about at our last board meeting, we are moving rapidly to increase the security personnel on the system, both TriMet staff and our contracted security. So Andrew, please give the board an update on
They love the contracted staff because basically they're completely unaccountable Nazis. Okay, they just do what they want. There's no accountability there at all.
expanding our staff.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you again this morning. TriMet Board of Directors has just provided another
Now watch him. He knows the material. See, he'll talk without notes. Watch, there's a big difference. He knows what he has the material in his head.
update. As you might recall, last month, we are continuing to increase very quickly our security presence on the system, as Sam alluded to. This last month has seen more growth in that. So I thought I'd give you a quick update. In 2022, as you're aware, we nearly doubled our customer safety supervisor teams, safety response teams, and transit security teams. And we plan to continue that as we head into 2023.
Yeah, they're all, the police force in Portland, all the police state functions are doubling and tripling as they get ready for the collapse of society. They're preparing for the collapse of society here. Okay, they're cloaking all of this in their little safety and security language, but we know what's really going on. It's an effort to create an actual police state, which we already have, but a much bigger police state.
And we're adding security personnel monthly. Since the January meeting, we added nearly 20 more people to the system in the security world. Our transit security officers are now up
loads
to
of money for all of these kind of things, but you still can't get a reliable bus. Actually, I take that back. It does seem like they have the bus side fairly stabilized. I do hear them filling runs when things happen on the run. The only problem now is the max. They still don't have the amount of operators they need there, but that takes a long time to train those people. And I maintain that none of this should have ever happened. They should have been on this. They should have been on this immediately, and they let it collapse. And you've heard me say it before. I think they did it on purpose.
128 officers. You might recall in June of last year we had 60. So there's a significant increase right there. While the plan initially had been to increase to 160 this year, we're expecting to surpass that. So we're meeting those goals in terms of expanding personnel even more than we thought we would, which is a good thing. Lastly, our customer safety officer teams were increased from 42 to 48.
And we don't know, well, they got all these different names for all these different things. They've got everything all confused and discombobulated. We don't know who anybody is anymore. They've turned it into this mishmash of different people so you don't really know who you're talking to anymore.
This month. That increase in personnel has allowed us to take them away from their primary duty, which is supporting our customer safety supervisor teams as they do court enforcement, and also put them in more security kind of personnel.
Yeah, fair Nazis, we call them. Preying on the poor. They prey on the poor. That's their whole, it's the transit to police state pipeline.
Presence environments out on the system. And so that's actually helping us expand as well. So just a quick update where we're at, but we continue to expand, and it's been nice to see a lot more personnel coming on the system. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Sam.
No, thanks, Andrew. Board, as I stated last month, we remain committed to improving safety and security on our systems. And we continue to engage with state, local lawmakers to address the societal issues at the root of the security.
Yeah, they just want more people in jail, Let's not talk about all the operators that actually antagonize the riders. Let's leave that. We won't talk about that. They want to put as many people in prison as possible right now. And I don't know how they're going to do that. We already have the largest prison population on earth. And they want more, but this is the end of empire, folk. We're in a declining empire, and this is what you see. If you read history, you'll see that all empires in decline. They turn against their own people in the end, and we're at that stage.
Challenges in the community and on our transit system, and we fully support a coordinated and collaborative approach to making our community safer.
Sure you do.
So my next item, I would love to just openly thank our TRIMET's advocates in the U.S. Congress who recently secured important funding for our agency's initiatives. Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici joined me at our Beaverton operation.
All the parasites came together to do a little show for you.
This facility last week to formally deliver a $5 million in funding to expand our electric bus charging.
Yeah, the electric, they got unlimited money for that and unlimited money for Ukraine, but helping people, nothing. We've got nothing for you dispossessed, but we got everything you need for your electric and everything you need for war.
Equipment there, and those funds came from the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023, approved in December. As we continue to expand our electric bus fleet in the future, and as we transition to a zero emissions bus fleet by 2040.
Yeah, they had previously said 2030, but they lie. And when they get 24, I'll be dead by 2040, so it won't matter to me.
Charging equipment will be vital to us moving forward. And I just want to say to Congresswoman Bonamici, she's a true friend of TriMet and a real powerful advocate. Her priorities is electrification of transit and sustainability. So among that funding that we receive from the Consolidated Appropriations Act, Congressman Earl Blumenauer, he secured $5 million for us as well in funding for both improvements to our Northeast 82nd Avenue Max station.
Yeah, they got capital projects money everywhere. Capital projects, folks. Bunch of baloney that's not needed. Stealing that money from the taxpayers, funneling it to the elites.
And the region's Willamette Shore trolley infrastructure. Former Representative Kirk Schrader also secured $5 million in fund for future upgrades at the Oregon City Transit Center. So
they got like $15 million in pork. And of course, they take 10% of that off the top and add bureaucrats. And it doesn't help anybody. It's completely wasted money, but we won't talk about it.
I want to just say that we extremely appreciate our congressional delegation and their commitment. I know we went last year to Washington, D.C. Tom Marcraft and the government affairs team, we went there to really thank them. And we went there not to ask for anything. We went there to thank them for what they've been doing for us and helping us, because the money that we received in is really, especially on the electrification piece of it, is helping us with our climate change and then helping us to save the planet. So finally, I want to just remind everyone about our Transit Driver Appreciation Day, and that's coming up. So please mark your calendars. It's coming up soon. Here at TriMet and across the region, our riders have a reputation for thanking our drivers. And Transit Driver Appreciation Day provides that opportunity and a reminder to all of us to give thanks for the work that our operators do and the service that they provide us. So the Transit Appreciation Day this year falls on Saturday, March 18th. However, we, TriMet, we're going to celebrate it on Friday, March 17th, when more of our operators are at work. So I'm asking the leadership team, our coworkers, the board, you, our riders, and the community to really come out with us and come out on March 17th and really show your support for our operators. There will be activities planned throughout the day in our community and also internally at our operating facilities. So now as much as ever, we really want to show our operators who are dedicated public servants how much we appreciate them and really thank our operators for everything they do to keep this region moving. So please start thinking about how you might want to say thank you and watch for more information that's coming from TriMet on how to get involved. So with that, Vice President Bauman, that concludes my report.
Yep, well, bunch of nothing as usual. Thank you, Sam the Nothing. Over and out.